Hello, everyone. I want to do a review of last week's reading, Why is Death Bad by Bruckner and Fisher. There was a lot of good work done on the discussion board, but there was also a lot of things said that were incorrect. And that's completely understandable. You're reading something which is pretty high level of difficulty, and you're reading it for the first time. So there's nothing wrong with things being incorrect. People are students, you're learning. But I thought that there were a few things that were there which might be misleading, and that's important that I maybe correct a few misinterpretations of what's going on. And all I want to do in this video is to reassert some of the basics of what Bruckner and Fisher are trying to do in their essay, which is essentially about the asymmetry problem. It is about the asymmetry problem, and so there's two things that you need to do to understand their essay. First, to understand what the asymmetry problem is, and secondly, to understand their proposed solution to the asymmetry problem. And that's what I want to focus on in this brief video. We ask ourselves again, and I would refer you to the video on the asymmetry problem and the other videos that I made. Those are really important. That is, this is a very difficult work, and if you're not reading it and you're not using the videos, you're probably not doing it right. There's just no way you're going to understand this material unless you do both of those things, especially read it, of course. But you should be using all of the videos that I send out. When I send out review videos, when I send out videos reviewing study questions, when I send out videos reviewing the last week's discussion board, you should be watching those videos because you want to gain as great an understanding of these things as you can. Again, I don't check whether you watch the videos. It's none of my business, really, but I would urge you to do so if you want to do well in the course, meaning if you want to understand the material well. So let's just go back to this idea here. The idea that life is bracketed by prenatal non-existence and posthumous non-existence. And the asymmetry problem is that we treat these two periods of non-existence differently, asymmetrically, when we shouldn't, says the Epicurean, because they're both just periods of non-existence. But let me get a little bit more specific, with reference to what Bruckner and Fisher are up to. Just have to get into this. The key, and I think this is what a lot of people didn't get, for Bruckner and Fisher, both. Sorry. Sorry, yeah. Okay, there we go. Both are periods of deprivation of the goods of life. That's what they try to establish in the beginning. So for Bruckner and Fisher, our prenatal non-existence, that is, the time before we were born, is a time when we're missing out on the goods of life. Our posthumous non-existence, the period after we die, is a period during which we are missing out on the goods of life. That is absolutely crucial for what they're doing. That is, to see that on the face of it, both are periods of deprivation, loss of goods. In our prenatal non-existence, we're missing out on the goods of life because we have not yet been born. Hope that comes up. Yes. On our posthumous non-existence, we are missing out on the goods of life because we have died. In both cases, we don't exist, right? So that's really important to see. That is how they set up the asymmetry problem. That is, they're crucial to their argument is that we could have been born earlier than we were, just as we could have died later than we did. In both cases, we would have experienced more of the goods of life. So both periods are a period of deprivation of goods, and therefore periods of bads. This is how they differ from Nagel, right? So that sets up the asymmetry problem for them, and that's absolutely crucial to see, to understand what they're getting at, is that prenatal non-existence is a bad for us because it's a period of deprivation of goods. Posthumous non-existence is a bad for us because it's a period of the deprivation of goods. So under these conditions, it would seem we should regard them as the same. That is, we should regard them as both bads, but we don't. We regard our posthumous non-existence as a bad, but we do not regard our prenatal non-existence as a bad. And this is irrational. This is inconsistent. So that is the problem that they need to solve. And it's a problem because we want to be able to say rationally, on a firm foundation, that this asymmetrical attitude towards prenatal non-existence and posthumous non-existence is actually justified. This is the point that I'm really hitting on in the videos. How do they do that? Well, they do that by focusing on goods or pleasures. And the key, and I'm just outlining it here briefly, look to the videos and look to the essay for a full explication. The key is that we normally regard future pleasures as more important than past pleasures, that is within life. So the pleasures that we look forward to the future mean more to us than the pleasures that we have in our past. So this leads to something like a solution to the asymmetry problem, in that posthumous non-existence, death, deprives us of future pleasures. Prenatal non-existence deprived us of past pleasures. We care more about future pleasures than we do about past pleasures, so we care more about the future deprivation of them than we do about the past deprivation of them. That, in a nutshell, is their solution. I just wanted to lay that out because there was a significant amount of confusion on these key issues in the discussion board. Again, I'm not calling anybody out because this is difficult material and you are a student, and I don't expect you to grasp things perfectly right away. But these are basics about the text that you simply have to understand. Let me say one more thing about the discussion board. It is clear to me that many people are working really hard in this course, and they're doing it the right way. These are difficult texts. You can't wait till the end of the week to begin reading them and expect to have a good grasp of them. And many people are doing very good work on the discussion board, and the evidence of their work is obvious. It is also obvious to me that some people are not taking the readings seriously, insofar as they're not really doing the readings. That is none of my business. As a teacher, as a college teacher, I'm not a high school teacher. I'm not here to look over your shoulder. I'm here to evaluate your work in my class. So whether or not you are taking the class seriously, whether or not you're taking the readings seriously, is none of my business. But I can assure you that if you are not doing the readings, just glomming off of what is said in discussion board or what's said in the videos, you're not going to do well in the course. you have to begin to respect these readings insofar as recognize that they're difficult readings and you need to spend time with them. So that's just a word to the wise. Again, how much you work for this course and how well you do in this course is none of my business. That is your personal matter to you. We're all grown-ups here. But if you're leaving things to the end of the week, you can't expect to understand these readings. They're too difficult. So that's just my personal advice to you. In any case, I hope that this review of the basics of Bruckner and Fisher, the ideas of the asymmetry problem, what the asymmetry problem is, the assertion that in prenatal non-existence we are deprived of goods, and in posthumous non-existence we are deprived of goods. I hope that that's clear, and I hope that their solution, and this for a more detailed examination of this, look to the videos and do the reading, but that I hope that their proposed solution to the asymmetry problem is clear to you as well. Sorry for the extraneous noise.